Okay, so we have a lot of weirdness going on. We announced, I think we were talking about DC Comics yesterday. We were talking about how we thought Jim Lee was out at DC. No, Jim Lee is not out at DC. That was a nasty rumor. While they did gut about a third of their staff, it turns out that Jim Lee is going to be heading DC from here on out, or at least so that's a good thing. There was a rumor they were bringing in an esports manager. I'm glad that's not true, because esports managers ruin teams all the time. As somebody who follows esports, like that's a constant. I don't know why you would bring an esports manager in for anything unless you were trying to firebomb the place.
It's like getting a telecom company to run a comic book company.
Right? That's weird. Okay, so that's what we heard. Jim Lee is not out at DC, so happy times for at least that. Well, but I mean, they still gutted about a third of their staff and gutted quite a few books. It's still sad. I'm still bummed about the whole thing, but it is what it is. We have worse news. Give me that box, yo. Hand me that box. Let's show this.
This one?
The box. The box. Check this out, yo. This is our diamond shipment this week. Clearly a forklift decided to stab its way through our boxes. Yeah, look, good times.
It penetrated all the way through.
If you want to see what the books look like, where are the damaged books? Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Some of them are right here. Here's some of them. How to make my eye twitch. How to make my eye twitch on Twitch. So, yeah. Glad to hear Jim Lee didn't lose his job. That's true, Carl. So that's what we heard from the DC side. The Marvel side this week, if you haven't heard, Venom 27 is the book to own, and we're going to review it first. It's going to be one of the first reviewed books, but it's the book to own this week. And it's probably my pick of the week. Yeah, most definitely is my pick of the week. What other comic news do we have? Any?
None that I can think of right now.
None that we can think of on the spot right now. I hate to see how many are damaged. It's in the 50s. We've got a lot of books damaged. It's not good. It's not pretty. It's weird too, because it like stabbed through the free comic book day books, and they were all fine, and just the books we're selling, those got completely messed up. So not happy at all right now with UPS. Not at all. And for once, I don't think it was Diamond's fault. For once, I think it was UPS's fault.
Cursed at Diamond.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a habit. So yeah, we hope they will replace these books, but a lot of people got messed over. I'm holding one of our regulars, Brian's. This was his Stegman copy of Venom. It's pretty munched. Like, especially he's a collector, so he wants like a really good copy. And this is there's a crease that we're not going to be able to like get out of this sucker. It's pretty bad. Somebody says Yogi needs to fix his damn phone. Signed Diggins. Is that your buddy?
Hey, is that Diggins?
That's what it said.
Johnny!
Oh. Hey.
What's up,
man? So one of your brothers?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So let's talk Venom 27 real fast. This is the Stegman variant. It's not in good shape, this particular one. Poor old Brian. I hope we get him a new copy. And Diggins says he misses you. So this particular Venom, this is the tagline for this was Venom Beyond, and this is issue number 2 of Venom Beyond. We saw a world that looked like it had a mix of the null symbol with the Venom symbol, is what we saw. And more of that unfolds. This is clearly a futuristic sort of alternate timeline with, I would say, dystopian, utopian values mixed in, is what it feels like. What I will tell you, I can't spoil too much. The reason this is such a hot item is because we have a reappearance of a character, but sort of a new character. And we've got a new power for Venom. At least one, maybe two. So it's some good stuff to see. Dylan and Eddie are trapped there. They're being hunted by a virus. And meanwhile, they're trying to deal with this new world of, symbiote-related stuff. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to see a really, really cool group of symbiotes that you might recognize if you pick up this issue. So I can't spoil too much. I will say it was one of the best issues this week, maybe the best. I had a really, really good time with it. There was a lot of twists and turns. I want to know more about this Venom Beyond universe. And then on top of that, the places it went were kind of unexpected. There's a fly just hanging out. Were kind of unexpected. It was really, really cool to see. The art, of course, is on point, and the writing, of course, is on point. It's Donny Cates. You know what to expect, or you know what to not expect. He's not going to hit you with tropes. He's going to hit you. I should put it on this side for Twitch. He's not going to hit you with tropes. He's going to hit you with really good storylines and really unexpected directions. And that's what we get in this Venom. So come pick it up. Yeah. It's awesome. Next is the Avengers, the Empire tie-in. And let's see. Well, this is, that's right. So this is the Kotati, the Avengers are dealing with the Kotati. At the same time, while they're attacking, they're dealing with the very shaky alliance of Kree and Skrull, being a little angry at them. But what do you get from this particular issue that is amazing? Well, you get a Luke Cage fight, which is awesome, and you get a Brother Voodoo fight, which is awesome. So I had a really, really good time with this. But anyone who knows me knows I'm really, really partial to both Luke Cage and Brother Voodoo, especially partial to Luke Cage. I don't know why. Anytime I see Luke Cage, I know he's known for back in the day saying Sweet Christmas, but I still say Luke, MF, and Cage every time I see him. So one of my absolute favorite characters, though, and it's nice to see him built out. So it was a pretty good issue. I will say, though, that a lot of this issue did center around Kazar and the Savage Lands, and frankly, I don't much care about Kazar. The Savage Lands are dope only when Conan's hanging out in them. I don't care much about Kazar. So you do get some Kazar in there. It's okay. The art was good. The story it's okay. I will say, of the Empire titles, I think this is one of the weaker titles, which is weird to say because Black Panther is heading the team right now, and those books tend to be pretty badass. So it is what it is. Avengers Empire issue number 2. Come pick it up. Not this copy because this got munched by the forklift. Fly killer. Yes, I killed the fly. I did it. Next is Empire X-Men, and this is issue number 3. Guys, look at how much these books got. If you don't remember this, you should remember this. Let's be honest, because this was the book that I described as aliens meets zombies meets the Golden Girls meets X-Men. And that's exactly what it is. You have the horticulture group, which are the people who are hacking the portals, which are old ladies, and using like pheromone powers and plant-based powers and stuff. Meanwhile, you've got the mutants, and you've got zombie X-mutants from old Genosha, which are attacking, and you've got the Katati, the plant aliens. So this is a mess. Keep in mind, I still laughed. I laughed through the first 2 issues, and I laughed through this one. Mostly I laughed through this one because there's a certain mutant that I'm super partial to, Jamie Maddox, Multiple Man. So he's in the middle of all this, and I always have a pretty good time with Multiple Man. He makes me laugh pretty hard. So there's that. Most of these copies came through okay. This is one of the few that got really, really munched, along with a couple of variants that we really did not want to get munched. But I think we still have a couple copies for the shelf if you want to come pick it up. Probably not this copy. Sorry. I don't know what to do about that. I will say that of all the stories, although Quentin also makes this story pretty good, of all the other 2 titles for this this particular 1 in 4 run, this was probably the weakest. The first 2 were hysterical. This one was, it was okay. It was kind of okay. There were a couple twists and turns, but it was just all right. I can't wait to see how it ends, though. It was pretty funny. Next is a book that this is the variant for, but I've got to show this off. So this is, if you don't know, what's his name? Christopher.
The action figure.
we always call it Christopher Action Figure, but I can't remember his actual name. This guy does variants of action figures on comic covers. Christopher, God, I can't remember his name, but he's known for doing these sort of things, and he's got an entire one of all of his Star Wars variant covers, which are really, 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 really awesome. And if ever there was a book for your coffee table, I would say that this is definitely the one. We have one of our regulars, Al, loves these covers, and he's probably the only one in our store who snatches them up, which is a shame because they're so amazing. I wish more people would buy them. And then on top of that, this is the variant, but the reason I picked up this variant was this has the Darth Vader head filled with the action figures, which growing up in the 80s, that's a real toy.
Yeah.
Like, that was a real thing that I had housing my Star Wars action figures. They had a 3PO. Yep. So this is that is such a cool thing to see. And oh God, hits me right in the feels. So this book is a rather large book full of his covers, but believe me, you are getting some cool art in here. And this is really something you could just throw on your coffee table and be proud of. Be pretty happy to show off the amazing art. And some of these are just mind-blowing in how the details he puts on them. Bib Fortuna, for example. Anyways, but we'll have this here. I think it's a little more expensive than a regular comic. It might be $10 because $7.99, something like that. We've got a couple copies that didn't get munched and a couple copies that did get munched. So sorry about that. Soldiering on from stuff that didn't get munched. Next is X-Force, issue number 11, and this is the Path to the X Swords, which is supposed to be the continuation of House of X, Powers of X. And this one centers around, well, there are a lot of moving parts in this one, I gotta tell you. We've got Domino and Colossus, who have been hanging out quite a bit lately. I don't know if there's a thing between them, but they've been hanging out quite a bit lately. I think he rescued her in a few issues back in X-Men. And then, we're dealing with both the Katati and some other kind of, I don't know if it's a mutant or a monster, but something that can replicate itself out of its dead husk of itself. It's a very weird creature, and they're sort of grappling with that. I will say most of these X-Force books by Benjamin Percy, Balzado, and Guru Effects are pretty damn good. The art is good, the storyline's good, and I didn't know what to expect from the X-Force line this iteration. I've had the best time with the X-Force line. I gotta tell you, it has not disappointed. Granted, there is Omega Red on the cover. I don't know if he's coming to play Omega. Yeah, it was Omega Red. A lot of these old mutant characters I've got to sort of step through, because there's so many of them. It's my my soap opera mutant stuff. Anyways, X-Force issue number 11, pretty darn good. I will say it's not a good jumping off point if you haven't read the other X-Force issues. You should probably go back at least one issue before you pick that one up, but it is pretty good. Next is issue number 2 of Judge Dredd, False Witness. And, well, I have a confession to make. I didn't pick up False Witness number 1, so I had no idea where we were going to go. But there are some standard things you should know about it. Usually it's Mega City 1 is the main city. Usually it's some grand statement sort of referencing today's modern society. In this case, we're dealing with the politics and the blaming of illegal aliens again and that sort of breed of hatred and xenophobia. While we're also, it's always Judge Dredd is being counted out and is, under fire and usually alone. And this is no difference. We've got some rogue judges. That's probably one of the worst things you could get for Mega City 1 is to have rogue judges roaming around doing bad things. So Judge Dredd's got to get to the bottom of it. As far as a Judge Dredd book is concerned, it's pretty good. The art, I will say, at times the art was okay. Sometimes it felt a little too generic. I'm not sure why. But the story's pretty good. It's Easton, Zama, and Dela Cruz. Easton. Is it? I don't know. But anyways, it was a pretty good issue. I don't have much to complain about. But again, I do kind of like Judge Dredd. I've read Judge Dredd in the past. I'm not the biggest Judge Dredd fan of the modern books. I thought Toxic was okay. And this one, it's okay too. You have to like Judge Dredd, I think. If you don't like Judge Dredd, maybe don't start with this book. Go back and read some trades. But yeah, it's okay. Next is a book that, well, it's awesome. And this particular cover, again, you can see where I'm guessing the forklift like scraped up against the cover of this book. Oh God, it's making my eye twitch. But that is Star Wars Darth Vader. And well, Darth Vader has been trying to get to the bottom of, well, he thought Padme was alive. And then it turns out that was one of Padme's handmaidens. There's several of them. Meanwhile, they were all hell-bent on killing him because he had killed Padme and the Jedi known as Anakin Skywalker. Duh. And they had him cornered last time.
Wait, from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view. You lied, Obi-Wan. Okay, but last time we had Darth Vader pretty much about to be eaten by a giant sea monster while a bunch of these other people were going to throw their lives away to get him killed. That was the plan. Well, it's good. It's good, but I mean, if you know the Dark Lord of the Sith, you can already sort of guess what level of extreme he's going to go to get out of that situation. It shouldn't come as much of a surprise. What will come as a surprise is the end, because a couple things were revealed at the end, and I was having a good time. I'm having the best time with this Star Wars Darth Vader run. Go figure. It's Greg Pak, Iniko, and Manon. The art is good. The story is great. There's nothing to complain about whatsoever. I have no complaints from this. I might actually pick up the trade when it's done. There's Gungans in it.
The Gungans, huh?
Are they Gungans?
Gungans, yeah.
I thought they were Gungan.
No,
Good. Gungan style. They're in it. I don't much care for them. Beyond that, there's nothing else to complain about. Nothing. Now here's a book that is just friggin' amazing. I've referred to this book as the Rolls Royce of comics, and for good reason. It really is. Ewing, Bennett, Jose Emilia. We're talking, of course, the Immortal Hulk, which it's just the best comic on our shelves right now. It really, really is. And this is no difference. The tagline for this particular book, they didn't give any description whatsoever. When we looked it up in the system, it just said, no happy endings. And I was like, oh. And from a book that has made me cringe and scream, almost like I've yelped turning to the last page, which I'm absolutely sure is what Ewing wants. Like, he wants you scared going through these books, and this is no different. The Hulk was being celebrated. The Hulk made a comeback. It wasn't the Devil Hulk. It was the old Hulk. He made a comeback. He saved the day, and then boom, a gamma blast echoed off him, and he's hurt a bunch of people, and now he's not happy. I'm relatively certain we're seeing the birth of a new Hulk, and I don't mean a Banner Hulk. I mean, somebody else is getting ready to become one of the other people that are gamma powered. Any guesses? Not the heart. No. Not Betsy Ross. No.
I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking it's the reporter in the story. I'm thinking it's the reporter in the story. This particular issue, we have Gamma Flight, which is Alpha Flight rebranded for Gamma themed, because why not? We have them taking aim at the Hulk and trying to put him down, and which is kind of unexpected. We have the Absorbing Man, but man, he's really creepy these days. Really creepy. This is all I'm going to say. There's so much good in this story, so much fun in this story. A lot of really well-placed stuff. It's so good. Ewing has really just knocked it out of the park, and every single issue I get to the end of it, and I'm like, I got to wait another month. And this is coming to an end, isn't it?
Yeah, they're ending it, what, 40?
I think it's 40 is they're ending it. I don't want it to end. I want Immortal Hulk. I want this book to continue on and go as long as Batman from the 19
Yeah.
like I want a full 180 to 100 years of Immortal Hulk. That would make me happy. It's that good. It's so good. And
Picked up issues at random. Everyone has been amazing.
every single one. I think the only one that I did that was only okay was who was the brain guy? What's his name?
Oh God, it was like
Not Mastermind. Not I always know his name and it always slips my mind because I hate his name. But yeah, his issue I was like, I don't care. The rest of it was great though. There's nothing to complain about. Zemu. You remember Zemu?
Yeah,
I remember. The leader. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate. Our whenever I forget anything, Nate will definitely remember it. Our other store expert. The leader. Yeah, I can't stand the leader. But when issues center around the leader, I'm like, okay. Oh man, this book is good. So anyways, Immortal Hulk issue number 36. Obviously, I'm telling you to go buy this book. Go buy this book. It's great. It's great. Next is Stealth issue number 4, and well, it was essentially like an Iron Man crossed with Falcon. That's what it was. That's Iron Man crossed with Falcon. This is no different. I'm not seeing anything particularly new, but I am kind of intrigued by this new hero, and I really like the art style. I'm not sure why. The art is good. This is Costa Belgrade and Bonvillian. I never know how to pronounce his name. The art is good, and then they do weird stuff on the back that are like minimalist, cool looking art type stuff. I love the look of this book. I'm not sure on the story. The story's it's okay. It's okay. It's nothing bad. There's plenty of twists and turns. It's just I kind of feel like I've read it before. I'm not sure why. I can't really put my finger on it. But it's fun. It's fun. The art is what's really selling me on it. I mean, we have a character that looks very similar to Two-Face. And then, we've the way the actual stealth suit looks is pretty darn cool. And we've got a whole Sins of the Father motif. There's nothing to complain about. But I did skip 2 issues. I think I read the first issue and then the 4th issue. I don't think I read 2 and 3, and I don't know where they went. They didn't come through our store. Did they? Oh, maybe I missed them. But at any rate, I would say don't start with issue number 4, but come pick up a back issue and maybe special order a couple of issues. But this stuff is a pretty darn good book for an indie. Yeah. Next is USAGI Jimbo Color Classics. I'm loving these because I've read all of them when they were just ink, which I do love the old ink style of comics. There's TMNT, the original series did it. USAGI did it. Yeah. So I'm really loving these color classics. This one in particular is one of my favorites because it is, I don't want to say it's the birth of the blind swords pig, but it's sort of, so there's the blind swords pig who is an outlaw who's just hunted by people, and pretty much he was a tormented soul. He was picked on because he was blind in like feudal Japan, and so he had to learn the sword and learn to fight, and then things escalated and he's hunted and stuff like that. So Usagi bumps into him, doesn't realize who he is, but this particular pig can tell everything by smell and sound. So yeah, the way Usagi gets back at him for being an outlaw is he cuts off his nose. Yeah. And that sets the stage. So this particular pig, he will appear in so many other storylines. And he's just got a vendetta, and he wears a wooden nose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is the birth of him, and it's so good. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but this story is 30 years old, okay? Come pick it up. It's great. But yeah. So it's the birth of a really awesome character. One who I would argue might be as awesome as Gen, who is the Rhino in the Usagi verse. So yeah, come pick it up. It's so cool. Next is Mirka Andolfo, and that is Unsacred. So if you don't know this series, it's basically what would happen if a demon and an angel fell in love. And in this particular issue, they're dealing with maternity and their child who is being brought into the world. And while, okay, it's a demon and an angel that has fallen in love, the story is kind of, well, it's a little weird, and it's drawn very provocatively and everything else. I will say this issue in particular, as a father, kind of hits home. You go through all the maternity phases and the sacrifices you make, and
Start nesting.
yeah, the way your child gets brought into the world and how you deal with it as they get a little older, and it's nice. It's nice. The art is really, really good. You know what to expect with these Indolfo books. The art is really, 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 really good. We have a lot of these, but this issue in particular, usually they're kind of pervy. This issue in particular was all about maternity, so it wasn't as pervy as the other ones. So it was kind of touching. So we've got plenty of copies. We don't know why, but Diamond sent us like 1 billion copies, and they charged us for them. So please, God, come pick these up. But yeah, we've got variants galore. Next is Transformers Galaxies, issue number 8. Gauging the truth. I will say the weird thing about this particular issue is it felt like an old school Transformers story, but drawn in a new way. Whereas I think I've said it before that the mainline Transformers thing feels like Game of Thrones crossed with like Transformers. It's very political. Yeah, very political. I mean, this still has Cybertron, but it feels like an old Transformers like cartoon with like certain twists and turns. So I had a pretty good time with it. The art is great. The new Transformers universe is so amazing. Yeah, so amazing. It's really, really fun. It's entertaining. It's very adult, which makes sense because the series has grown with us. So yeah, Transformers Galaxy issue number 8. I will say again, this is another one where you need to jump on it and then hold on for the ride, because issue 8's pretty good, but I think the issues before it were much, much better. Which is still not saying much. When you're churning out a lot of good stuff, then you're on for the ride. So anyway, so we'll go on to the next book, which is a book that I thought was going to digital only. I thought Marvel said this was going to digital only, along with like Spider-Gwen, well, Ghost Spider, and what else? Strange Academy. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we're getting a few more months before it pushes off to digital or whatever. But Hawkeye Freefall. Now this story was awesome for a lot of reasons. Well, okay. Hawkeye's been doing his thing, and oh no, like people are finding out about this new guy named Ronan who is belting out and dealing with the criminal underworld, dealing with them, playing them sometimes, going back and forth. Who could it be? Well, everybody in the damn Marvel universe knows who Ronan is. And when the secret was revealed last issue, it was Hawkeye. No one's surprised. That twist is dumb. This is my man Rosenberg, though. Rosenberg and Schmidt. And the thing about Rosenberg is, well, okay, maybe the twist wasn't great, but he writes action super well. And that's what you get. You get a really, really good action story. There's a lot of fun here. He writes Hawkeye well, although I will say at times his Hawkeye feels like his Punisher and how brutal he can be at times. But it's a good story. It's a fun story. More importantly, you get to see Hawkeye's girlfriend go to bat for him against Spidey and Cap, it was kind of fun to see. It was a really fun scene. So yeah, I had a good time with this. It was a good book. Hawkeye Freefall number 5. I'm not sure you should start with this. I mean, I wasn't confused, and I skipped an issue or two, I think, maybe. It's not confusing. All you need to know is that Hawkeye's Ronin, and he's sort of moonlighting as playing the criminal underlord, I guess.
For the first time ever.
Oh, yeah, for the 5th time ever. Next is Mariko Tamaki, Natasha Bustos, Eleonora, God, I hope I pronounced your name right, ma'am. Eleonora Bruni, and this is Willow, created by Joss Whedon. So this is Willow from the Buffyverse, deciding to take a vacation, some much-needed rest after her friend Xander became a vampire and got sacrificed for the Hellmouth. There was a lot of problems in this story, not in this storyline, but in this timeline. There's been problems. One thing that is not a problem is this. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say Buffy's a problem. That story is good. I mean, they've just dealt with a lot of problems, is what I meant to say. This Willow run, I'm only 2 issues deep, and I'm so hooked. She found a town that seems very witchy and perfect, and she's not quite sure why, and I'm sure it's a trap, but it's pretty fun so far. So she's taking a much-needed vacation. She's probably around her people, and Jen Bartel is doing some of her covers, which this is the Jen Bartel variant, and Jen Bartel is one of my favorite artists in comics right now because everything she draws reminds me of a 90s rave. That's Jen Bartel right there. It all reminds me of a late 90s rave, and as a late 90s raver, I love it. I love Jen Bartel's art. This is some beautiful stuff. Let me see if I can show that to you guys. It's so good. But of course, the art is very mystical because how else would you tell a story about a magic wielding witch in the Buffyverse? It's got to be magical. So yeah, the art is great, and that's really underselling it. The art is outstanding. It's fun where it needs to be fun, and it's mystical where it needs to be mystical. The Boom has really churned out a bunch of good lines from this Whedonverse. Issue number 2, we've got it. Come pick it up. Look at the back. There's like a Ouija board on the back. Oh, and issue number 2. See what they did there?
Yeah, I see that.
Issue number 2. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Oh, they're doing Firefly as well.
They're all good. I think the Angel and Spike stuff, I'm like, meh.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Angel TV show, I was like, meh. So, next is Avengers Fantastic Four. This is Empire, of course, and this is Al Ewing, Dan Slott, Valeria Shitty, and Marta Gracia. And wow, this issue in particular, we found out last issue that She-Hulk was dead and had a Katati something possessing her or something. So She-Hulk, I guess, is dead. I don't know what's going on. They said she was dead. Meanwhile, Hulkling's not acting how he should, so that's been a problem. They've gone to his husband, Wiccan, to figure out what's going on, which they should have gone to him first. Why wouldn't you go to him first? He's his husband. So Hulkling's not been acting right, and he's leading the Kree Skrull Armada. Meanwhile, Thing is in a fight with this Kotati-possessed She-Hulk, and one of the things it tells him to do is give up. It tells the Thing to give up. That's not something you say to the Thing, because the Thing has never lost a fight.
No.
Never lost a fight, ever. A couple stalemates here and there, but he's never lost a fight. And if you tell him to give up, then he's going to beat your ass. And I'm happy to say, this whole issue, even when Thing is giving his monologue and getting ready to kick butt, he does not talk about Yancey Street.
Whoa.
It's amazing.
Whoa.
I loved it.
That's not how we do it on Yancey.
That's not how we do it on Yancey. What was going on with that? It was like a year of him just saying Yancey Street. Yancey.
I had to look it up. It's always been his
No. Clobbering Times has been his thing. In this particular issue, he tells them to put their dukes up, which I love because it's kind of an older term, which fits the Thing perfect. Yeah. Old Thing boomer telling people to put their dukes up. But the Yancey Street thing was driving me nuts because it was like every issue, every other page, they were talking about Yancey Street.
They had that Yancey Street spinoff for a second.
Yeah, for a second there. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was because they were doing that Yancey Street like offshoot stories, so they just felt like they had to mention it all the time. Dan Slott, stop with the Yancey Street. Stop it.
We know where he lives.
We know where he lives. Knock it off. But this issue was written really well. When the Thing belts out, it feels right. It felt great. I had a really good time with it. Loved it. I will say it's Empire number 5. This event has been fun, and I didn't expect it to be as fun as it is. I didn't want this event, and I'm loving it. So yeah, come pick it up. Except for I don't know. I'm not having fun with the X-Men Golden Girl zombie. It's just too much. You've thrown too much in a pot, and you stirred it up, and it got weird. Next is Archie and Friends, Endless Summer, and whoa, what is there to say about this? It's a very typical old-style Archie book. You know what you get with these books. It's not Mark Waid Archie, which is what I'm hooked on. I'm hooked on that soap opera style of Archie.
The classic kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's classic campy. It's you know what you get. Kids would like it if kids were into this sort of. I mean, I guess if your kid was into Riverdale, maybe get them Archie comics like this. But it's not really my jam. But they're not really written for me. So it's cheap though. It's only $2.99, so it's like $1 off from normal comics. So come pick it up. Next is the Amazing Spider-Man Sins Rising, and of course we're dealing with Sin Eater, but a powered up version of Sin Eater that has some mystical powers, and the character himself is really twisted, and there's a lot of wild statements on death and the traumas that we take on and how much we can deal with, and there's a much deeper storyline here than is just shown. And the Sin Eater himself winds up becoming sort of a hero to people at one point in this issue, a very Punisher-esque sort of hero, and they flat out compare him to Punisher in this. And Spidey's kind of dealing with the madness that is like, how do I stop this villain that almost got me to kill last time? That's one of Sin Eater's things, is he almost got Spidey to kill, and somebody had to step in. I think it was Daredevil. So this is kind of a character that haunts Spider-Man, and he's doing just that. It's good. It's a nice psychological mind screw. Spencer Ferraria, Poggi, and Curiel. It's a good story. I'm having a good time with it. So issue number 46, Amazing Spider-Man, come pick it up. The art is really, really good. Like, they've stepped up the art. I mean, at times when I'm reading it, it feels like Immortal Hulk.
Really?
Yeah, the art is really good. Next is, it's Hopeless Hepburn Fabella. It's issue number 5 of Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider. And hold on, because Cosmic Ghost Rider has lost his Ghost Rider power in this issue. So he's become
Deadpool.
Cosmic Punisher, which is pretty darn cool. It's not going to last, but it's pretty darn cool, and it's setting the stage for something further. Somebody who is tied to him for a little bit might actually turn out to be a villain and maybe a counter to him. So I really want to know more, but I think this is the end of the Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and they're just setting the stage for another storyline. Pretty darn good, though. Mephisto is a jerk. He's always a jerk. Mephisto's a jerk, and he's gonna play a fast one on everyone. He's a jerk. That's what he does. He's hanging out in Vegas being a jerk while Frank's in hell. It was good. I had a good time with it. Oddly enough, I like this one a lot better. Well, wouldn't say oddly enough. The last one was just crazy Frank Castle telling stories. The last Ghost Rider, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't read the last one.
Yeah, and this one is just. It's an actual good storyline. It's not just a bunch of tall tales about craziness. Like this one, I had a really good time with this one. So as somebody who skipped, I think I skipped like another 2 issues of this, maybe 1 issue. Was not confused, had a good time with it. It was fun. I got to see sort of a new appearance, I guess, Cosmic Punisher. It was really cool to see. So yeah, come pick this up. It's fun. Next is issue number 2 of Captain America, and, this is Cap with the Howling Commandos, is what it is. They say, it's like we're the Howling Commandos, and it's a bunch of soldiers running around with Cap, and that's what this is. And as someone who is a soldier, it speaks to me. I'm having a good time with it. This issue in particular was not as fun as the last issue, but it was still pretty fun, and it sort of reads like Cap crossed with Sergeant Rock, which is a character that I wasn't super into until one of our regulars pointed it out to me, and then I went and checked it out and had a pretty good time with it. So nothing to complain about here. If you like war comics and you like Cap, you'll probably have a good time with this. Next is The 7 Secrets. This is in issue 1, and the 7 secrets are secrets. Whoa. They haven't been revealed, but there's a secret council. I don't know if there's 7 of them, but that's just my guess. And 2 of them have had a kid. So that's where this story picks up, the birth of a child, which is a pretty good opening. They haven't really revealed the secrets, but if I had to venture a guess, the 7 secrets is probably 7 members with superpowers, and they probably topple the governments and control worlds and right wrongs and do this and that. and the main character who was born when they weren't supposed to like be having children and stuff like that, he's probably gonna get all these powers and do all these things. That's just a guess, but these things seem to write themselves these days. So this is Tom Taylor, Danielle DeNucleo, and Walter Biamonte, and it was a pretty good opening. The art is great. The story is, well, it might be dialed in. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll get a twist that I don't know. Something unexpected will appear, but it's still pretty good. I mean, you get a book with good art, and even if you sort of know where the storyline's going, it's still pretty fun. Still pretty fun. So as a number one, I'd say this is probably go pick it up. It's pretty good. Next is a book I'm so happy to see. Okay, Marauders. Now, what do we know? Kate Pride, Kitty Pride, who's calling herself Kate Pride because she's pretty much a pirate. She was killed. She was lost at sea. She was betrayed by Sebastian Shaw and drowned and killed. And she wasn't able to be reborn, and they couldn't figure out why. But Krakoa does hate her. We know that because Krakoa doesn't let her through the gates, which, as somebody with powers that can pass through anything, she can't pass through the gates to go to Krakoa. That's messed up. It's great. Yeah. This is, of course, Path to X of Swords, and this is Jerry Duggan, Stefano Caselli, and Edgar Delgado. It was awesome. You can tell right there that this is the funeral of Kitty Pride, or Kate Pride, but maybe it's something more, and maybe you might be really happy if you've loved this Marauders run. I have. This has been my favorite of the X books, which is weird because it's not written by Hickman, but it is by far my favorite of the X books, and this one in particular is great. So yeah, rush out and pick this up. Don't miss it. The art is amazing though.
The guy who plays Sea of Thieves.
I do play Sea of Thieves. I do love pirates, and gosh darn it, I love Marauders. Next is Oblivion Song, and I have not read a lot of Oblivion Song. I will tell you that this was, if you can't tell from the cover, this is very surreal. You're dealing with another species in another world, and there's like one human in this story, and honestly, it felt like I was trapped in one of Salvador Dali's dreams or nightmares, but it was pretty good. I had a good time with it. It's very science fiction. It's very surreal, but if you like surrealism, you probably really love this. And if you're into this Oblivion Song run, you probably already know what I'm talking about, and you're like, oh, this is nothing new type deal. But again, this is Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici. You know it's a Kirkman book, so you know it's pretty darn good usually. So come pick it up. Next is, well, this is an Upshot book. Benjamin Percy. Oh, it's Benjamin Percy. Brent Schoonover. Sorry, Brent. And Nick Filardi. And this is The Devil's Highway. Well, who's hanging out on the Devil's Highway? Well, I'll tell you what. Truckers and ladies of the night. And what happens when some of them start getting killed by a serial killer who has an obsession with snakes? Yeah. And then somebody goes hunting them. A detective goes on the case to find it out. So it feels like, what's that detective story that was on HBO not too long ago? I can't remember. The first season was great, and the second season sucked. But
no, that's BBC. All right.
I can't remember, but it felt like that. It felt like a detective story and chasing a serial killer, and it was something I was really intrigued about. Granted, this is the second issue. I was not confused at all, and maybe I missed something in the first issue, but this felt like it could have been the first issue. So it left me wanting more. I was super into the story. I like sort of true crimey feeling type stuff. So I'm super interested, and I can't wait to see where this goes. And we got copies, so come pick it up. And then we have Adventure Man, which centers around a mom who reads Adventure-Man stories and then starts finding them sort of twisting themselves in real life. And while she's doing things in the comics, her character is doing things in the comics, she finds herself mimicking those things in real life. And some of it's coming true. And is it wild? Yeah, it's a wild ride. It's very dreamlike at times. And as somebody who loves comics, it's sort of, it hits home. You know, there's lessons to be found in the pages of comics. And In this particular issue, or in this particular story, they're using it as like lessons of life, like direct lessons of life. So it's fun. And the art is really, really good. The art is great, honestly. Every time I pick up one of these issues, I go into it like just looking at the cover, knowing I'm gonna like this art. Go figure. Okay, the story is Fraction, Dodson, and Cowles. So we've got Dennis Cowles on this. We've got Dodson, and then we've got Matt Fraction. This is a really, really good team. But this is issue number 3. I skipped issue number 2. Wasn't terribly confused. Had a really good time. Although issue number 1 left on a cliffhanger, and I want to know what happened. And I don't know where issue 2 went. Did we skip it? We had it. Yeah. We had it. I guess I just didn't review it. Maybe we only had enough copies for subscribers. That's probably what would happen. But this is his name is the leader. He lost to Doom in the Ultimate Universe. Oh, Thing lost to Doom in the Ultimate Universe. Is that true? So Thing has lost a fight? Oh, in the Ultimate Universe. It's not mainline.
No. It didn't happen.
Didn't happen. That's horseshit. The Ultimate Universe was destroyed and then brought back and maybe destroyed again. Who knows? Oh, wait. No, it's back again, no, isn't it? Back. It's back, yeah. Read Venom. Anyway, so Adventure Man, I'm having the best time. But Adventure Man is not a man at all. It's Adventure Woman. Come pick it up. It's great. Next is a book that is very weird. It's about kaiju. And in the world of kaiju, we have a gal fighting kaiju who is a big girl. She's basically a giant woman fighting kaiju. And meanwhile, there is a guy who winds up having a son who is part kaiju. So his son is very large. He's 3. He was 3, almost 4 or something. And some government spooks put him down. It's very sad. Yeah. So I'm not sure where this story is going. And at times it felt a little tropey at times. But then I don't know. I'm not super invested in these characters, which tells me that the story hasn't quite hooked me. And usually if something doesn't hook me right away, I'm like, maybe I'll wait an issue before I call judgment on it. I will say the concept is kind of funny, and the back is pretty funny. The concept is kind of funny. I mean, it's a giant woman fighting kaiju. It seems fun. I can't wait. As somebody who likes big giant monsters, I want to know where it's going. The story, just something about the story hasn't quite hooked me yet. I'm waiting to find out what it is. It does end on a cliffhanger, so we'll have to wait and see. I'd say give this one an issue before you jump in, or unless you really, really like kaiju, and then go jump in right away. But otherwise, I would say give it an issue, because I think the hook is maybe 1 issue out. So let's see. Next is issue number 6 of Red Sonja, Age of Chaos. My God, there's so many Red Sonja, Age of Vampirella. They've crossed over like 1 billion times at this point. At this point, it's like Vampirella, Red Sonja, Betty Veronica. What else? Oh, man. There's so many of these stories. There's Red Sonja Vampirella and Vampirella Red Sonja, which they've switched the names around, but they're 2 separate books.
The Sacred 6.
Oh, the Sacred 6, which is several of them. Evil Ernie pops up in some of these. It's I don't know how many times they're going to do these weird crossovers, but the Age of Chaos line, I will say, is the strongest of all the weird crossover mashups, and I've had fun with it as somebody who's totally not invested in Vampirella, Red Sonja, any of those characters, save for Evil Ernie, who I kind of dug a little bit in the 90s for like a couple weeks. Yeah, so I'm not super invested in these characters. I've had the better time with Age of Chaos. It's been the stronger of the novels, or the books, the comics. So issue number 6, don't start with this one, though, because this feels like the wrap-up of stuff. I'd say go back a couple issues and pick it up, but it was pretty good. The way it ends is very Conan-esque and felt right, is what I'm going to say. So, and the last book for us this week is a facsimile we've got, which is, it's Snake Eyes' origin. So if you want to read what we read in the 80s about, like, on the old sort of newsprint style comics, which these are, the pulp style comics, come pick this up. It's actually pretty fun. And I had sort of forgotten all these. I collected a lot of G.I. Joe comics back in the day and Transformer comics.
Like they used to have the toys that would come in a little small one.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. Snake Eyes was everybody's favorite characters were either Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Duke, Sergeant Slaughter. And I think that was about it. Like
everyone else was just a side character.
And there was always that kid on your street where you were like, yeah, I got Snake Eyes, I got that, and the one kid's like, oh, I've got what's the sailor's name?
Oh God, I almost threw out something bad.
yeah, but he says the sailor's name, and everybody goes like, who cares? I don't want that dude. I'm not trading for a sailor and G.I. Joe. It's G.I. Joe. I remember the birth of Destro. Do you remember that at all?
No.
They did the birth of Destro in the comics, and then they did the birth of Destro in the cartoon series. And both times it was like, I remember the comics, it was like he was coming and they showed like his silhouette, and we were like, who the hell is that? And it came out and we were like, dude, that dude's made of metal. That dude's a badass. And like, so the comics, you were into the comics, and then they did it in the cartoon. You were like, man, Destro is so much cooler than Cobra Commander, but Cobra Commander is like he felt like, didn't he feel like the Starscream of the story?
It was the voice and everything.
Yeah, it was like the Starscream of the story, but he was the commander.
He was the boss.
And like Destro, they still got the gif of Destro going, such bottomless stupidity. It's like, he was always like, what is this guy's problem? Why do I have to follow his lead? Baroness, yeah. Yeah. That's, oh man, G.I. Joe is such a good series.
I rewatch it, dude.
Do you rewatch it?
They have it on YouTube. It did not age very well.
No, I imagine not.
But still fun, man.
I remember I was watching like one episode where like one of the side characters sort of kicks a football at the end. He like kicks a football out of like a stadium, and then some dude runs up and he's like, "Whoa, man, you kicked that really far. What juice you on?" He's like, "Steroids. Don't do drugs, kids." I was like, dude, you kicked a football out of a stadium. How did you do that without drugs? Like, that was way longer than 70 yards, man. Oh, G.I. Joe.
Half the battle, Steve. What's the other half?
It's violence. Knowing is half the battle. The other half is violence. As soldiers, we can tell you that. They never say that on G.I. Joe. Oh man, I love these old comics.
Quarter red pew, quarter blue pew.
Pew 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 pew. Well, yeah, they always did that. They color coded their guns.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to the poor bastard that like grabbed the gun that was like not tuned right? So he's like shooting red, and then his own guys like turn and shoot him. That would have been so funny. Oh man. Oh my god. So anyways, we've got Snake Eyes if you want to come pick it up. And that's all of our shows for this week. It was a great week in comics, even if it wasn't a great week for us because we got a damaged box. And if you are one of the unfortunate few that got damaged comics, I'm really, really sorry. And we will do our best to get your orders fixed through Diamond. Hopefully we can get you the books that you want. And that's all we got for you. So yeah, do the dance. We'll see you guys later. Toot. Save. End stream. Yes.